So I didn't know initially if it was Techno Tuesday that was messing with my ears, because we had this Kevin Cohn and Scott Wallace had Techno Tuesday, the music blasting. So I had no idea if it was this or if it was just my ears ringing still from that. And then Simmet at the beginning had me like a NASCAR billboard with the ATL hat and the ATL shirt and the 404 face mask. So whatever we got to do. So we're Tuesday's practice, and the guys came out here. Really good work day. We've been out here since July 22nd, and just really proud of the way the guys stay engaged, staying committed to the process. Now it's game week, so that process for a lot of our newcomers, a lot of the young guys, and even some of the guys that haven't been through a game week process with us, they're learning all those things in real time. So we're trying to inundate them in how we do things around here, getting ready to play a really good opponent on ABC national television. Just some guys I wanted to mention before we even get started that are back from last year. Jalen Camp played the first 4 games of last year and missed the last 8 with a surgery. Just his development, how he's approached everything that when he's been away as a teammate, a leader, and really taking care of his body. Excited to see him play on Saturday. Kenny Cooper, again, played the first 4 games of last year. Wasn't able to finish, but just his development, how he's turned into a really positive leader in this organization among the offensive line. But really, Kenny's got such a good personality that it transcends both sides of the ball, all the position groups. Jahazel, he's been an offensive lineman in this program. We started playing him at defense last year some, and he got injured as well. And then we made him full-time solely on defense this offseason, and he's just done really, really well. Excited to see him play. Another young man who was a freshman last year that was playing a lot for us. First half of the season was Chico Bennett. Wasn't able to finish out the year. Tremendous length, athleticism, high character young man, so excited to have him back. Some guys that, due to NCAA transfer eligibility issues, Antonius Clayton, everybody knows my relationship with him going back to when he was 16 years old at Dooley County. Excited to see him get to play football for us. Derrick Allen, local, highly recruited kid, went to Notre Dame, transferred back home to Georgia Tech, sat out last year. And then the last one is Marquez Ezard. Same thing, highly recruited local guy, signed with Miami, transferred back home, and they did a great job last year on our developmental squads, and really excited to see them play football in the white and gold for us. Another transfer, Ryan Johnson, he's come in here. It's really solidified us along the offensive line. Got into this culture and is just bought in and been a leader. Another guy that has great relationships across the team. And then another young man is Spider Sims. He got here late to us last year. Hadn't gone through the off-season conditioning program, all the culture building things that we do. And I'm just excited now that he's been through a full year in our program, in our organization, in our culture, to see all of that investment that he's had, really pay off for us. And then, I've talked about since we've gotten here is the position flexibility piece, how important that is in this organization, to be able to do a lot of different things, offensively, defensively, special teams, and even going on to the next level, being able to do those things. So Jerry Howard is going to play linebacker for us after 3 years playing running back here. Bruce Jordan Swilling played linebacker for us since he's been here, and then he's going to be playing running back. And then one of the stories of the entire offseason is Tobias Oliver. Played quarterback since he got here, then transitioned to receiver, and now he's playing corner for us. And just who he is as a young man. We talk about the single-digit piece. He wears single-digit number 8. He has earned that right and that honor to represent that number in this organization. So just really proud to see those guys with the position flexibility piece being able to do, and also with Jahazel being able to do the things that they want to do for whenever they leave this place and hopefully play at the next level. Jalen Askew is another young man that earned single-digit number 4, and he has played a huge role on special teams for us last year, will be a huge factor in the special teams game for us this year. And I think you look at Nathan Cottrell, who just made the NFL roster, the practice squad for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and his sole role last year was just on special teams. He had 1 carry last year, but he made an NFL roster based on special teams. And ever since we've gotten here, we've talked about how important focusing on special teams, having a role on special teams, making that a priority. And I think Jalen Askew is going to be one of the elite special teams players in college football. Proud of him. Proud of TD, made the 53-man roster as a tight end from Georgia Tech. I think that's a great story in who he is, his character, the way he approached his entire career while he was here with us for a year, the difference that he made setting the foundation of this program, and for him to have that kind of success really makes you feel really good about how we do our process, how we develop guys on our roster, and then he's still in the group chats of the tight ends, and the way the 2 Dylans, Dylan Leonard, Dylan Devaney, approach their daily work, have a process that they go through that they developed along with TD and Tyler Cooksey. It's a special group. So I know that's a lot of names, but these guys mean so much to me, and just excited through all that they have been through to go out and actually play a college football game on Saturday on ABC. So with that, Mike.
Outstanding. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. We have a lot of people on the call today, so please be sure to use the raise hand function within Zoom, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. And the first question is from Jeff Schultz from The Athletic.
Hi, Jeff. Simple question. What should the expectations be for your team in going into year 2?
Sure. Well, I first want to take a second just to recognize that after my opening comments, Mike Flynn injected a little positivity and co-signed that those were outstanding opening statements. So, Mike Flynn, I appreciate that. I'm not usually getting glowing remarks from Mike Flynn, so that means a lot to me. If I can just take a second to soak that in, Mike, I appreciate that very much. But no, Jeff, thank you for the question. Just the growth, the development. Just when you go out there or you see us during pregame, the length, the speed, the attitude, the cohesiveness on both sides of the ball. We're working really, really hard to put a really good product out on the field, and the basis is guys that play with a ridiculous amount of effort, play together, play really, really hard, more comfortable within our system. The transition piece, we got better and better throughout the entire season last year, and six practices through spring ball, and then all this time we've had with OTAs and an expanded training camp. Just excited to see them go out and play. But the biggest thing is a team that plays together, plays really, really hard, fights for each other, and plays at a really high level. That's the expectation every day. And every single week that we're here, the expectation is to get better, learn from every experience, good and bad, that we might go through and play at a high level.
Next question is from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering, looking at the ATL, you have to notice that there's not very many freshmen on there. Do you feel that you've developed some good depth to where you can bring these guys along a lot slower than you would have last season?
Sure, and that we returned so much depth from last year. There will be a lot of young guys that will travel with us, and just that we've told them this year is going to be different than even a lot of years. Now, we had a slew of injuries that we went through last year, so a lot of young guys had to play. We had the second smallest senior class in college football last year, so a lot of young guys have to play. We have so much returning experience, but the developmental piece is going to be huge. And we talked to them about that yesterday. There's going to be guys that are making the trip. There's going to be guys that are on the developmental 4 days a week lifting program, but the development is the biggest part. And even though you might be developmental at the beginning of the year, by the end of the year, you might be playing 20, 30, 40 plays a game. And I even told this story today about Curtis Rhynes. Curtis Rhynes last year did not start on the ATL depth chart. Curtis Rhynes did not start off the season traveling, but he just went to work every single day, and by the end of the year, he was a 20 or 30 play a game guy. We trusted him on special teams, and that transition, I mean, he's put on, I think it's upwards of 44 pounds since we've gotten here. You know, he's a 6'5", 6'6" defensive end. When we got here, he was 216 or 218. Now he's pushing the 260 range and is more explosive, more dynamic, more flexibility. So the developmental piece in this program is huge. We've got a lot of young, raw talent that we're in the process of developing, but I do think with all the talent that we have returning, we're not having to force them into the ATL list right now, but there will be a lot of them traveling, and I don't know how it's going to work with you guys during pregame, but there's going to be a lot of 6'5", 6'6" guys running around in pregame warm-ups, getting a sense of what big-time college football is like.
Next question from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Jeff. I was curious, kind of watching the games this weekend, kind of what did you pick up on maybe some things that you have to be mindful of going forward, and then also the travel piece of this. How much has changed to your routine? I know you guys are very specific about how you travel and stuff. How much of a change is this?
It is just the travel piece is night and day. I mean, the things that we've done, and I won't bore you with all the little details. It's probably better in a one-on-one setting with that piece. But the attention to detail that myself, Scott Wallace, our director of operations, Kevin Cohn, our assistant director of operations, Mark Smith, our head athletic trainer, Luke Corral, our head strength coach, Ryan Horton, our director of applied science, the things that we've done to make sure we have the most efficient process possible, make sure we've got the flow in and out of the locker rooms, even the flow to and from the games. One notable piece, Kelly, is in the past, at the hotel, we would pile into rooms, do chair drills, which are basically mini walkthroughs, pile into a theater, watch a highlight tape, and then all pile onto buses and then all pile into the locker room. We're not doing that this year. One of the biggest pieces we're doing is we're going to have an NFL-style flow to the stadium. So we'll do pregame meal. The way it's set up at the hotel that we're going to in Tallahassee, a lot of them are going to take it, grab it to go up to their rooms. Most everywhere I've ever been, when you go on a road trip, there's two guys to a hotel room, they share a bathroom. Well, in this day and age of COVID-19, that's not the way we're doing things. Every one of our players has their own hotel room, home and away. So a lot of the times on certain meals, they'll just take those up to their room. But we will have an NFL early bus, middle bus, and a late bus getting over to the game, so they'll flow into the locker room more efficiently, flow out onto the field for pre-game, so the spacing piece will be there. That's one of the biggest notable changes. There's all kinds of little things that we've whittled away based on data that we've accumulated throughout the offseason to make it the most efficient and safest environment possible for the guys and for the staff.
And then on what you saw.
Next question.
Sorry, on some games.
So you're saying the games that you think I was able to watch on TV? Is that the question? Okay, so I think you guys know this about me. I'm completely focused on this team. We had practice on Saturday. We had meetings on Saturday. We had meetings last night, so I haven't really had a lot of time to watch ball or anything like that. So I'm sure that's a boring answer, but it's facts.
Next question is from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Jeff. I know you guys have done a really good job, it seems like, keeping guys healthy, and I'm curious, as far from a COVID perspective, I was wondering if there's anyone at this point that you'll have to quarantine or not be able to take with you to Tallahassee.
I think Mike's covered this. We don't report on those things. That's a good question, but we don't report on those things.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Next question is from Max Olson, national writer for college football from The Athletic.
Coach, good morning.
Hey, bud.
Wanted to ask you, the fact that everyone gets a free year of eligibility this year, how did that factor into setting the above the line and just trying to get as many players as possible ready to play?
Well, the above the line is just the guys that we think coming off the bus are ready to step in and play right away, that we're planning to rotate throughout the game. There's other guys that we're going to travel per position that might see action later on in the game, or if something happens throughout the game. So that doesn't factor into it. Every Thursday afternoon we have a plan to win meeting, so we go through every situation, every scenario as a full coaching staff, all the contingencies that could arise. We go through a meeting, we call it playing the players, how we're going to rotate guys in, how we're playing each position, how we're doing the subs, different personnel groups, both sides of the ball, how every single special team scenario that could arise during the game, how the personnel piece is affected that way as well. But long term, the roster management piece, our general manager, Patrick Suttis, our recruiting staff, they know this roster top to bottom. And so as we, add to our roster and the program through recruiting, those are decisions that we're going to have to continue to be fluid, continue to be innovative, but in every single decision that we make is what's in the best interest of our players.
We have time for about two or three more for Coach. Start with George Henry from the Associated Press.
Yeah, hey, Coach,
Hey, George.
good morning. I'm wondering if you had a chance to say anything to the team. The ACC media picked you guys to finish last in the conference, and I didn't know if you had mentioned that as motivation to your team at all.
Yeah, we don't dwell on those things. We've seen that there's group text messages that are throughout the organization. I'm sure they ended up here and there on a couple of group text messages and things like that. But, we're solely focused on getting better. We talk about building something really special here, attacking success. That's what we're going to do every single day. We don't worry about outside opinions. We worry about our opinions that are in this building, how hard we work, how close we can be together, developing a process to get ready to play at a high level. So that's what we're focused on. We're not focused about those things, even though I do know our guys are well aware of those things, but it's still just every single day, this is our process, this is our culture. We've got to get better at every single phase, get our minds right, get our bodies right, all those things. And it's funny, I actually have, I don't know if you guys have seen the NBA, the Aura rings. So this is actually one of them. We've got about 50 of our guys, older guys in the organization that have these guys, and this tracks sleep, resting heart rate, all kinds of other metrics, readiness levels, activity levels, and a lot of our guys are using this. I was actually having a conversation with about 3 of them, talking about their sleep score versus my sleep score and having like competitions, who can have the most efficient sleep and the most deepful restfulness and all those kind of things to make sure we're taking care of our bodies at a high level. And this gives us real-time data. Ryan Horton gets to compile all this data from the Aura rings, and he able to help guys, in every phase of their development, every phase of their recovery. And Leah Thomas, our head nutritionist, Ryan Horton, make sure that they're doing the right things as far as hot tub, cold tub contrast, and things to get their bodies ready to play at a high level on Saturday. It does. The biggest piece, and just seeing some of the highlights on social media. So even though I don't sit there and watch full games and haven't been able to, you do see the things that happen on social media, and the tackling, blocking. Those are things that we've addressed. We actually, every Tuesday, we do our tackling circuit. So it's very detailed on making sure every form of tackle that you could possibly have, we're executing it on Tuesdays at a high level. I did think in the last scrimmage we tackled well, but the big thing is sustaining blocks down the field, playing very, very physical, and the tackling piece as well, and making sure. I think the ATL philosophy that we have, subbing a lot of guys in, getting a lot of guys in the game plan, is going to help in this day and age. Just not being stuck to 12 to 14 guys that are part of the game plan. On defense last year, I think we averaged 26 to 27 guys a game playing 10 or more plays. And in this environment right now that we're going into this season, those kind of things and those philosophies, I think those will serve us well. And then the depth piece is the secondary piece. Kind of surprised that I haven't had a follow-up question on, it's Techno Tuesday was the playlist today. Surprised that we haven't had a follow-up about what is the Wednesday playlist, what is the Thursday. So I'll go ahead, Mike Flynn, I'll go ahead and answer that question. So Wednesdays is ATL Wednesdays. It's all local artists. So we go get the different soundtracks. We'll go back to old school, Outkast, T.I., and then we'll bring it new. So we'll go Lil Baby, we'll go Future, we'll go Gunna on Wednesdays. Thursdays, the playlist is a positive vibe Thursdays. So a little Leon Bridges, we'll throw some Zach Brown band in there, some Stick Figure. And then on Fridays is Funky Soul Fridays, just so we can get our best Fridays in football vibe going and get ready to play at a high level. And the guys know when those playlists start rolling, what day it is, what the periods we're about to do, what the mindset is, what part of the process that we're going into, even just based on the soundtracks and playlists that we're playing that day. So, Mike Flynn, I appreciate that follow-up question on the music.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate that. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate that. And last question will come from Zach Klein from WSB TV.
Well, I've learned, coaching this, that you can't focus on all games on the weekend, but you can lock in a playlist for local Wednesday. So much respect for that.
Thank you.
With Florida State, what do they do well on both sides of the ball that has your attention?
Yeah, and it kind of carries over to last week, the comments that I made. Obviously, the first thing you do when you're starting to scout an opponent and there's a new coaching staff, the first thing you start with is the players. A lot of talent returning. I think they've got upwards of 17 to 18 guys that started for them last year that are returning. Tremendous length, tremendous speed, tremendous athleticism. One of the best D tackles in college football. Dynamic receivers. A receiver that led the ACC in receiving yards, just explosive playmakers across the board. A quarterback, tremendous height, tremendous arm talent, and the thing that you look at from when you start to transition to schematically, the plays that last year the quarterback and the receivers did at a very high level, which was maybe 30 to 35% of the offense last year. It is a predominance of what Coach Norvell did at Memphis. So the pairing up of a scheme to a roster was really good. And, they play really hard. I know from being in the same league as Coach Norvell and watching crossover games, they play hard, they play physical, sound, fundamental football. And so we understand that it's a big challenge for players. It always starts with that piece, but then seeing schematically things that they do that's going to be crossover, and that we have to be ready to defend. We don't spend a lot of time on that piece. We just apply, here are blocking rules base versus the major fronts, major pressures. Same thing defensively. Here's our base coverages, base fronts, base blitzes. Here's how we have to make some tweaks to things that we do, and this is relative to anytime we play this kind of offense, this kind of defense or special teams. But a tremendous amount of respect for their players, tremendous amount of respect for their coaching staff as well.